literally walking down the street, and the police literally just walked up to her, pulled her into the alley, and made her piss in a cup and do a urinalysis. Why? Just because they looked at her. Bali's Indonesia is one of those last places on the earth where, life is still pretty good. And I always joke with my friends, my American friends and my expats, we always giggle and laugh around the table. And it's very different from what people read in the media in America.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways, a lot of people hate us. For example, I live in Bali, as we talked about before the show. I live in Bali. I have a home also in the Philippines, and I have a home in Panama City Beach, Florida, which is where I'm currently at. Just came in a couple of days ago. But and when we talk about freedom and police abuse, let me tell you something. My wife, again, I mentioned before the show, my wife is Indonesian. My wife is Muslim, yeah. And we were in Hong Kong, literally walking down the street, and the police literally just walked up to her, pulled her into the alley, and made her piss in a cup and do a urinalysis. Why? Just because they looked at her. And they said, hey, maybe you're on drugs. And they go through her purse, make her piss in a cup, and do a urinalysis. Okay? Think about that for a minute. This is other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I can go on and on with these stories. This is not an exception. It gets worse than that, and we don't have a lot of time to get into the details.
We got all day. Real quick, though. I just got to stop and go to the bathroom.
Okay.
We'll be right back. We're back now. Before we just stopped it. That's why I didn't know that happened to you.
Twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It's so normal.
Crazy. But anyway, you were saying before we stopped with this that some of the things around the world, like we don't understand how lucky we are to have it the way we have it here. And I got to tell you, man, like I always try to check myself with that because it's easy to complain, and I do, about so many things going on in the country right now, just with people just not being able to talk to each other. It gets very, very exhausting, and, we all create the biggest problems we can on social media. But the basic things we're able to do every day from, waking up in the morning and having the right to go to the gym or just do what the fuck you want to do, have a job, be able to pay your bills. It's not that easy in so many countries around the world.
Yeah.
And there's random shit that can happen where the government can have total control over every facet of your life.
Social media, what you post on social media could easily land you in jail or get you deported, especially in Indonesia. You say the wrong thing in there, boom, you're out of there, and they'll find you. They'll hunt you down, look for you, They're very active about it. Unlike, us, it's like, come on over, just come on over, do what you want. Try doing that crap in another country. I don't care what it is, whether it's the Philippines, Indonesia, any country. They're not going to tolerate you overstaying your visa or sneaking into their country.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to tolerate it. They're going to find you, and there's going to be harsh penalties. You're going to get kicked out. We're the only country that does this crap, and to our detriment at the end of the day. It's to our own detriment. The rest of the world doesn't think like we do. And are we better off? I would argue that no, we're not. America is not free. We're not free, and we're manipulated.
Why do you say that?
Well, at the end of the day, you're not free because, look, even now particularly, right? If you say something that goes against, for example, we'll talk about COVID, you don't believe COVID. COVID's a conspiracy. Okay, maybe it is COVID, but it's not what it is, or they make it out to be. And you get censored, right? We saw that happen with Facebook and all these different social media sites. Got called out on it and agreed. Yeah, the government kind of told us to shut everybody up, So who's really in charge here? Or do we really have free speech? Can you really say what you want to say? Can you really do you really have that freedom? No. The IRS has got you by your nuts, right? They're really going to get our nuts because once they have us on digital currency, and that's all we have, you have lost all power, all freedom. You think about it. Have you ever noticed, I don't know when you, on the ticket for Spirit Airlines, when you bought the ticket, but like when I buy my ticket, for example, United Airlines, now what I'm noticing under the price is also my carbon footprint. Like, that's kind of weird, They got a carbon footprint on there for the ticket that I'm going to buy. That was never there before. And why is it there now? I'll tell you why it's there now. It's conditioning. What they're doing is conditioning to the fact that you have a carbon footprint, and eventually once you get used to it, then they're going to charge you for it, right? And so what's going to happen is, look, the government might charge the airline, go, hey, you got to pay for carbon tax, but they're going to pay that cost pass that cost on to you, right? You're going to pay for that carbon tax. Yes. And so, but anyways, all of a sudden, it's another way to tax you at the end of the day. So where does it stop? Does it stop at the gas pump? Or now you pump 5 gallons of gas and you go, there's a carbon tax under there too. Because my car, I bought 5 gallons of gas, that's going to turn into this much carbon, right? So you see how this is working? it's I don't even know how I got down on this road here, but at the end of the day, we're not in control of our lives. Everybody's got a piece of your ass. The government has a piece of your ass. The legal system has a piece of your ass. Law enforcement, your employers. You've portioned out your power to quite a few people, and you have very little power of your own. Very people are really sovereign, and those that are very wealthy, and even those don't really have full control of their lives. Even in Indonesia, which is one of the reasons I live there, just to escape all the madness from this country. But even there, I'm not really free because I still fall under the rule of the local government, and of the national government. They still have a hand on me, but I actually have a little bit more freedom there than I do here. It's kind of like, and again, I told a partner here before we did the show, I said, Bali's Indonesia is one of those last places on the earth where, that life is still pretty good. And I always joke with my friends, my American friends and my expats, we always giggle and laugh around the table and like, hey man, shh, don't tell all your friends, they'll come over here and wreck it for us, We're living a pretty good life,
Yeah.
And I mentioned that there's 2 girls earlier. It's that kind of stuff that there's no tolerance for it. And they have a very dim view, the rest of the world, of what we do. They're scratching their head going, how can you justify changing children's sex, but they're not old enough to join the military, not old enough to drink beer and drive a car, but there's just so much weirdness. The rest of the world has questions, and and I'm on that side of the world where I get to see and hear this stuff, and I don't even try to answer it. I'm just like, what, I don't know how to answer it. I just leave me out of this argument, man. I'm just here to live my life, enjoy what I'm doing here, and with my wife and my family, and that's it. Live in paradise, so to speak.
Right. It does feel like sometimes the whole thing is like a long reality TV show, though, because we fight over some things that are very legit that maybe are a problem in society moving forward with how we go about certain issues. But we also then fight over things that are such minute little examples in our culture and make them the main thing and make them the focus of the rest of the world. And it feels like sometimes it's just some giant distraction to get everyone fucking pissing around the card table together.
Yeah, you're right. I think so too. I think a lot of it's just a distractor,